whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show, live starting at noon Pacific right here on YouTube. And hello to everybody watching the replay, as we know happens oh so often on this show. So thank you to everybody that's been reaching out and has been hanging out in the chat room even before the show starts. Fun show coming up. Obviously, we're going to be watching the Herschel Walker, Raphael Warnock runoff in Georgia. Are Georgians really going to elect Herschel Walker? Are there enough smart people to elect Raphael Warnock? I can't believe that we are, and it's going to be a while till we get the results. So don't think it's going to happen today or maybe even tomorrow. Although I would hope it'd be a friggin' landslide. I mean, how could Georgia elect Herschel Walker? How can that happen? I mean, he is not qualified. I'm not saying he's a terrible person, although terrible stories have come out about him, okay? I'm not even doing that. He is not qualified to be a U.S. Senator. Raphael Warnock is. And so we'll see what happens. Again, we'll watch the Walker-Warnock runoff returns come in. I've been following some news about long lines or polling places have been switched. So again, the results of the Herschel Walker, Raphael Warnock race will determine whether Democrats win an outright majority in the Senate, 51 seats to 49, or whether it stays evenly divided, with, again, Vice President Kamala Harris being the decided factor. Now, obviously after the midterms, there's always this question about, is Biden going to be a lame duck president? Is he going to be able to get anything passed? What's going to happen with the January 6th committee? We already know that thing's going to be broken up. The Republicans have a majority in the House. But I will play for you in just a moment some video, because today some Capitol police officers were receiving congressional gold medals for what happened on January 6th. And what happened during the ceremony was so sweet and such a message to some GOP leaders that you won't want to miss this video. So I'll have that coming up. But again, as far as the Herschel Walker, Raphael Warnock runoff, a lot of people are running to the polls. Now, is this going to be good? Now, Warnock, of course, is saying, look, I know people are saying it should be in the bag for me, but you still have to go and vote. And whatever nonsense happens out there, whether they switch your polling place or whatever they tell you, stay in line and vote. Obviously, Herschel Walker is also urging Republican support. And you would, from the pictures you're seeing of him hugging these people, you'd think he was the second coming. It boggles my mind. Anyone else just completely blown away? Just blown away by the fact that this is actually a race. More than $300 million has been spent on this race. That's the most of any election this year. The runoff was prompted when neither candidate, I still can't believe I'm saying these words, neither candidate received 50% of the vote. There were that many Georgians that looked at their ballot, saw what they saw from Herschel Walker and the nonsense that came out of his mouth and was like, yup, there's an R right there. And that boggles my mind. So we'll see. We'll see how smart people are again. I just can't believe it. But the GOP, the politicians, you got to wonder, more and more stories are just coming out about how these people are just shunning former President Trump. We weren't able to really get into this yesterday, but this whole statement that he made on, about getting rid of the Constitution and throwing it back, and him trying to walk back the post that he made on social media. So again, former President Trump originally posted on Truth Social the following. So with the revelation of massive and widespread fraud, all caps, and deception, all caps, in working closely with big tech companies, the DNC and Democrat Party, which is the insult, of course, do you throw the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner? Or do you have a new election? A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Our great founders did not want and would not condone false and fraudulent elections. Give me a break. All right, so now he's trying to walk it back. So then he goes back and he's like, this is his walk back post of former President Trump. The fake news is actually trying to convince the American people that I said I wanted to terminate the Constitution. This is simply more disinformation and lies, just like Russia, and all the other hoaxes and scams. What I said was that when there is massive and widespread fraud and deception, as has been irrefutably proven in the 2020 presidential election, no, it hasn't, steps must be immediately taken to right the wrong. Only fools would disagree with that and accept stolen elections. MAGA. I should just act out all of his tweets. I found that very entertaining. No, he's an idiot, right? It hasn't been proven. He has not been able to prove it. The January 6th committee proved that there was no proof for his claims. He can tweet out or whatever the hell you call it on Truth Social any information he wants to, but he can't prove it because it didn't happen. So a CNN anchor, Don Lemon, was on with Audie Cornish, and they were talking about the fact that Kevin McCarthy wants to read the Constitution on the House floor during the first day back in session. Okay. Let me see. Do I have the Don Lemon sound? I used to have it. And of course, people are saying, well, there's only one reason why you would want to read the entire Constitution on the first day back. And why would that be? Why would that be? Could it possibly be because of what former President Donald Trump said? Of course, that's the reason. Of course, that's the reason. Because if you believed in the Constitution, you would not allow a candidate to run for office under your party. I don't have the sound of it. But anyways, what they're basically saying is you wouldn't allow people to run for office if they believed this or if they even hinted at it. Now, I do have some other sound. Now, this is George Stephanopoulos, okay? And George Stephanopoulos is on with Dave Joyce, okay? And he's a Republican, of course, and he is just trying to bend himself into pretzels to not say what we know he should say, which is that former President Trump has disqualified himself to run for office again. Here is that exchange. Listen in. Oh, that's just the overlay. Hold on. I got the sound. Right here. There you go.
Donald Trump was your nominee in 2016 and 2020. You voted for him in 2016 and 2020. Now he's talking about suspending the Constitution. Can you support a candidate in 2024 who's for suspending the Constitution?
Well, again, it's early. I think there's going to be a lot of people in the primary. I think at the end of the day, you will say whoever the Republicans end up pick, I'll fall in behind because that's...
Even if it's Donald Trump and he's called for suspending the Constitution?
Well, again, I think it's going to be a big field. I don't think Donald Trump's going to clear out the field like he did in 2016.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you, if he's the nominee, will you support him?
I will support whoever the Republican nominee is. And I just don't think that at this point he'll be able to get there because I think there's a lot of other good quality candidates out there.
That's a remarkable statement. You'd support a candidate who's come out for suspending the Constitution?
Well, you know, he says a lot of things. You have to take him in context. And right now, I have to worry about making sure as a Republican governance group and a Republican majority that we make things work for American people. And I can't be really chasing every one of these crazy statements that come out from any of these candidates at the moment.
But that's an extraordinary statement. You can't come out against someone who's for suspending the Constitution?
Well, first off, he has no ability to suspend the Constitution. Secondly,
But he says he's for it.
Well, he says a lot of things but that doesn't mean that it's ever going to happen. So you got to accept exact fact from fantasy. And fantasy is that we're going to suspend the Constitution and go backwards. We're moving forward, and we're going to continue to move forward as a Republican majority and as a Republican conference.
These are people that put party over country. And I'm sorry I was muted because I was totally screaming over there, but I had to blow my nose. Anyways, I'm screaming at this guy because listen to this. You're going to say on national television to George Stephanopoulos that you would still vote for former President Trump, even though he has said, I mean, people are like, well, he was just hinting at it. He didn't really mean it. My ass. He will do whatever he wants to do. He doesn't believe in the Constitution. He doesn't believe in anything but his own bottom line. And this guy, Dave Joyce, a Republican, and that's it, not an American, because Americans believe in the Constitution, right? That's how this whole country works. Oh, well, if he's the Republican nominee, you're still going to vote for him? That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. But I do feel like people are, especially, and this is important, within the GOP party are done. They're just so done with Trump. And it's about time. So Fox Business host Stuart Varney pretty much sounds like he is done with former President Trump. I'm going to play you this sound, and this was on his show. And I don't watch Fox News, so I'm, it's not one of those things that I'm missing. But Stuart Varney sounded pretty upset when you think about when you listen to what he's saying right here. I mean, listen to the frustration, and I really hope a tipping point for people on a channel like Fox News to speak about the former president. Here is Stuart Varney.
He seems to be losing what used to be his iron grip on the GOP. He still has a hard core of supporters who will follow him regardless. But many of the 74 million people who voted for him in 2020 have been turned off. Right after that election, the 2020 deal, he ranted against Georgia's Republican governor, Brian Kemp, because he wouldn't fix the vote in Trump's favor. Kemp went on to trounce Donald Trump's guy in the gubernatorial primary. In the midterms, Trump-backed candidates lost vital races. Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania, Don Bolduc in New Hampshire, Tudor Dixon in Michigan, Doug Mastriano in Pennsylvania, Carrie Lake in Arizona. And right before today's election, he was talking about terminating parts of the Constitution. That plays right into the Democrats' hands. He's trying to walk it back today, but the damage has been done. A win by Raphael Warnock would cement the Democrats' control of the Senate, making it much easier for them to confirm judges and other top officials. If Walker wins, Trump will take all the credit, guaranteed. If Walker loses, Trump will blame Walker for not inviting Trump into the state. Here's a warning from the Wall Street Journal, editorial board no less. If the Republicans make Trump their candidate in 2024, he won't terminate any part of the Constitution. Quotes, what he's really terminating is the GOP.
You can only hope. And I don't say that as if Democrats, and let's welcome Kim McAllister to the show. I don't say, get rid of the GOP entirely as if we should be a one-party country, because I don't believe that. But this GOP that is party over country and has been proven over and over again. I mean, you heard that guy, Joyce. Well, if he's the Republican nominee, are you freaking kidding me right now? That blows my mind that you can look at someone like former President Trump and everything that happened after January 6th and the continual lies and misinformation and conspiracy and say, yep, this country can handle another 4 years of that idiot.
I just remind everyone that the President of the United States takes an oath upon Inauguration Day.
Yes.
And that oath reads, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So your whole point is to support the Constitution, protect it, and defend it. And you're saying we should suspend it?
Yeah.
What?
Because
I don't understand how you can run for office again when you know that the point of your existence is to support the Constitution, and yet you come out against the Constitution because you lost, saying we need to change the rules.
exactly. Exactly. And I think as more and more Americans call these GOP members and former President Trump out on the BS, hopefully that leads to a shift. And we're going to have to see it because the GOP is in control of the House. And who knows if McCarthy is leading them? What kind of nonsense? So I want to show you this video. And if this doesn't, and of course, and it was a snub. Okay. So this was the Congressional Gold Medal ceremony that happened this morning. One person was calling it kind of a reunion of the January 6th committee because of everybody that was there. And so police who defended the Capitol on January 6th were receiving these gold medals. Now, I want you to pay close attention. I'm going to share my screen. This was all over social media when it happened. They appear, and actually they did, because I'll play you an interview right after this, to not shake Senator Mitch McConnell's hand. So here it is. Let me play it for you. Now watch. So he grabs it and goes to the left. There's not really sound off this, so you're not really missing any sound. You just have to watch it. Now you're going to watch people just walk right past McConnell. Now, here he is putting out his hand. And nah. No. And then she kind of is like, no, not either. And no, that's a no for me. And yeah, that's a no. And good. Don't shake that asshat's hand. I will say this. Now, Mitch McConnell has moved away from Trump, so I'm not saying that, but I wouldn't shake his damn hand. Not at all. So Brian Sicknick, okay, his brother was at that ceremony. Now, I want you guys to tell me if you can hear this because I pulled the sound just in case you can't hear this, because he is asked by reporters after that, did you purposely not shake Mitch McConnell's hand? And he said, absolutely, I did not. So listen.
Self-explanatory, but, they came out right away and condemned what happened on January 6th. And whatever hold that Trump has on them, they've backstepped, they've danced. They won't admit to wrongdoing, not necessarily them themselves, but of Trump, of the rioters. I mean, people like Louis Gohmert, who presented the American flag that was flown over the Capitol to a January 6th rioter and told them they were a patriot. It's disgusting. And it takes away everything my brother's done. It takes away the heroism my brother showed.
You don't think they deserved a handshake in this context?
No.
Nope.
No, because unlike Liz Cheney, they have no idea what integrity is.
Yep.
They can't stand up for what's right and wrong. With them it's party first. Liz gave up her political career to do what was right and try to find the truth. Yep. She's the one ray of hope, her and the whole committee, that they can show integrity, that they can show they actually care about the process, about democracy, about everything that goes on. And these guys are, as long as it's got a big R in front of it, we're going to do whatever you do.
As long as there's a big R next to their name, they're going to do whatever you want them to do. And that's not leadership. It's not. It's calling out truth to power. It's understanding that no one is always right. And, I see Damien in the comments. What has the Democratic Party done for you, for our culture, for our economy, for our borders? Okay, Damien. We're talking specifically about what happened on January 6th and what led us there. We're talking about honoring the men and women, the Capitol police officers who defended that building, defended the people inside. What has Trump done for you? there is, oh, well, I agreed with him on this issue or that issue. I love that he talked tough about the border. I love that he talked about a wall that will never work. Okay. But he undermined our democracy. It's as if, the foundation of what our country is was weakened under that man because of that man. If you don't have a strong foundation, you have nothing. You have a house of cards that's going to come falling down and almost did on January 6th. That's the point that I'm trying to make with all of this. We can disagree about issues. We could disagree about, even the direction this country is going on certain issues, homelessness, immigration, whatever. Let's have that debate. Fine. But lying about our elections, lying without proof, and then those lies leading to January 6th, unforgivable, and makes you, in my opinion, never qualified to run for president again. And that's it.
After everything we've seen, after all that we know now, a vote for Trump is a vote against America.
Yes, absolutely. And he is not American.
No, he showed that he doesn't love America. What more proof do you need?
Yep.
And I'm not even talking about, our views of people overseas of America or things he did while he was in office, or whether you're pro-choice or not, or whether you like the judges he placed. I'm specifically talking about what happened on January 6th and efforts to thwart the democratic process and to not have the voice of the people heard, whatever your voice was in that election. That's un-American.
It's un-American. And what's interesting, and we'll end with this one because we're going to move on after the bottom of the hour news with Kim, because I'll be speaking with a gentleman who I actually interviewed me, and he's out with a new book. He interviewed Mark Thompson. He interviewed Chip Franklin. He's interviewed a number of people, and we'll talk about what it's like to interview someone who often does the interviewing. But that's coming up. Jim Cryns with Barrett News Media will be on with us. But look who is threatening to throw his hat into the presidential race. None other than John Bolton. Okay. John Bolton is also so fed up with former President Trump. Here he is on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker, talking about, and listen to this exchange, talking about why he wants to possibly get into the race.
I think to be a presidential candidate, you can't simply say, I support the Constitution. You have to say, I would oppose people who would undercut it. We used to have a thing in the House of Representatives called the House Un-American Affairs Committee. I think when you challenge the Constitution itself the way Trump has done, that is un-American.
Let's stay here for a moment. Just walk me through your thinking. What does your timeline look like? What would cause you to cross into saying what you're saying now and actually being a declared candidate for president?
Look, all of the potential candidates know what Trump has said. This is no secret to anybody. I don't see why they aren't saying it right now. I think the voters, the Republican voters, people who choose the Republican nominee, nearly 95% disagree that Donald Trump is more important than the Constitution. I'm afraid there are some who would stick with Trump on this. What does a candidate have to lose by appealing to 95% of the base of the Republican Party? I actually think most Republican elected officials in Washington disagree with Trump on this, but they're intimidated. This is the time where there's strength in numbers. The more people who tell the truth, the easier it is for everybody else.
So what do you have to see that would make you say, now is the moment that I am going to declare my candidacy?
I'd like to see Sherman-esque statements from all the potential candidates. If I don't see that, then I'm going to seriously consider getting in.
And what is your timeline, Ambassador Bolton?
Well, I think it's going to have to be pretty short. We've already got one declared candidate for president in the Republican Party who doesn't believe in the Constitution. This is serious business.
This is serious. It's absolutely serious. And that's the point. That's the point. So, no, I don't think that former President Trump should jump into the race. I think it's going to be mayhem for the GOP. I really do wonder who will end up being the nominee. But I just can't imagine. If you consider yourself a Republican, which is fine. I know Republicans. I love Republicans. I mean, as people, I don't like their politics, of course. I disagree with them. But you could be a Republican, but you also have to be an American. And you have to call out when people are dangerous to our democracy.
Be an
to our whole
American
system.
first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Be an American first. And if we don't have that, if we can't even agree that we should be that, then what do we have? I just, I wish Trump would go away. I don't wish death on anybody, but I do wish that he would just go away. I wish the adults would come back to the table. I wish, even though I disagree with her politics, I wish there were more Liz Cheneys and Adam Kinzingers out there than, people that will just do whatever former President Trump wants them to do and wants them to say. It's so disappointing. All right. So we have a big show coming up. I know a lot of you were reading my teas. I will get to the fart story. This is scientific story, people. So I want everyone to put on their mature hats, although the story is so, it's going to really test my level of maturity that is very low already. But there'll be farts, there'll be shorts, and there'll be science. So that's coming up in the next hour. So you'll have to stay tuned for the second hour of the Nikki Medoro show. Again, coming up after Kim's news, Jim Cryns with Barrett News Media. He has interviewed quite a few people. Kim, he's interviewed myself. He's interviewed Chip. He's interviewed Mark Thompson. He's interviewed Jack Swanson. He is interviewed. I mean, I could go down the list.
Is he writing a Station X expose or what?
Well, it's not about Station X. His book is called Talk to Me, where he talks to people that do these. He talks to news people that interview other newsmakers. And so I'm really interested. It'll be in about 15, 20 minutes or so. We'll bring him on. He's interviewed Sean Spicer. He's interviewed Tom Sullivan, who I used to work with up in Sacramento, and he was on Fox for a while. He's interviewed Bill O'Reilly. He's interviewed all kinds of people. So it's just going to be a free for all of what that's like. And obviously interviewing people whose livelihood is interviewing people it can either be fun or a little intimidating. So we'll have that conversation. Jim Avila is also in his book. So we'll get into that with Jim Cryns with Barrett News Media in the next half hour. Michael Avenatti has been sentenced to 14 years in prison. Yeah, that guy is a crook. He's just he's another one, presenting yourself one way and it turned out you were completely different. Some warnings for the holiday shopping season. Do your children, Kim, do they buy Christmas presents for you and for each other?
There used to be a little boutique at school where the prices were like $2 and $3 items. And so they would buy you'd go to school with a checklist and they would buy little things for everyone in the family.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So that was when they were super little that happened. Now it's more handmade gifts.
Yeah, I know. Well, my son, and the reason I'm bringing this up is you have to be careful right now with the online shopping. There's all kinds of scams. One woman was scammed out of her entire life savings trying to buy a car. So I'll have that story. But my son was trying to buy stuff on Amazon and he wanted it sent to him. So we kind of changed so we wouldn't open it by accident. And I got an alert on my phone because he had to use my card. He gave me money. He was saving his money. So he got everyone gifts, but I got an alert on my phone, which is awesome. So you have to check all the protections out there to make sure that it's on the up and up. It's you that bought it. Speaking of that, yesterday, I think it was announced that the deadline for the Real ID has been pushed back for 2 years. I don't have a Real ID. I didn't feel any need to rush and get it, but you guys tell me, and you can tell me in the chat room, whether it was as big of a pain in the ass as it sounds like it is when I go on the website and I need to get all this paperwork together. Is it that big of a deal or not? Because I'd rather just bring my passport with me. And then in the next hour, we're going to get into a lot of different things. We'll talk about germs. With COVID-19 wiping everything down, keeping kids home from school, keeping people inside. COVID kids, what is their microbiome going to look like? Many scientists say it will look different, but does different actually mean bad? There's also this spray. It's a germ-killing spray where once you spray it and wipe it off, it actually has a protective film that can last for months. But given what we've learned from COVID-19 and the benefit of getting dirty and germs and all those sorts of things, is that a good thing to have? We'll see. Also, Amazon doesn't want to dig deep for all of your data. I wouldn't be giving it up for the price they're willing to pay. Has anyone downloaded that Lensa app? It looks so cool, but again, there's a warning on it. Christmas, Burger King's doing the 12 days of Christmas. There's this unique pizza box, so we'll have some food news. We'll also get into some popular TV shows that probably wouldn't survive today. So a lot is coming up on the Nikki Medoro Show. But first, we need to take a look at some news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. CEOs of major companies have different views on whether a recession is coming, but they all spoke to CNBC, and JP Morgan Chase's Jamie Dimon said inflation could bring about a recession. Walmart's CEO said consumers are changing their shopping habits because of inflation, as Doug McMillon described shoppers as more budget conscious right now. President Biden is hosting Apple CEO Tim Cook during a visit to a new computer chip plant in Arizona. A White House economic advisor, Brian Deese, said a new multi-billion-dollar investment from the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company is the result of the president's economic plan. Apple is that company's largest customer. The Justice Department requesting records of communication with the Trump campaign from officials in states that were key in the 2020 election. Special counsel Jack Smith subpoenaed local officials from Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin last week and asked them about any interactions they had with the former president or his aides and allies. Kevin McCarthy's road to becoming House Speaker not getting any easier. In an opinion piece for the Daily Caller, Arizona Republican Congressman Andy Biggs announced he is running for the top job too. Biggs also claimed McCarthy is showing a lack of leadership, and the current fight over a spending bill is but one example of that, he said. Here in California, Democratic State Senator Scott Wiener of San Francisco says a bomb threat was made at his home and at his office today. Those threats came via email to the San Francisco Standard, which then forwarded them on to the San Francisco Police Department. State Senator Wiener says a person using the name Zamina Tataro threatened to bomb his Castro District home and shoot up the senator's Sacramento office. The Standard reports a police search of the home didn't find any explosive devices. Wiener, of course, openly gay, recently sponsored legislation to make California a sanctuary state for transgender children. He has become a target of those on the right, being labeled a communist groomer by Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. According to Wiener's statement, the author of today's email threat also called him a groomer and a pedophile. A statewide strike by 48,000 UC workers is in its fourth week. They plan to keep protesting until officials resume bargaining negotiations. Yesterday, one group staged a sit-in for 3 hours at the University of California Office of the President in Oakland and then disrupted a meeting as well. Restaurants across California challenging a new fast food labor law. A business coalition has gathered 1 million signatures, more than 623,000 required. If enough are valid and verified, could postpone the law and leave it up to voters to decide in 2024. The law is known as the Fast Recovery Act. It would create the first in the nation labor council to set pay and working standards for fast food workers. This report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. If you need help with your taxes, go on ahead, go give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL. You can find him online as well at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, Kim. Yes, and check out Steve. He is definitely the guy to call if you get a letter from the IRS or you're worried about, end-of-year tax preparations, what to do to save money on taxes. He can do it all. While we're thinking about it, please click the thumbs up. Just click it once. I was talking to my best friend yesterday and she was watching the show with her daughters and she's like hitting it 1 million times. I'm like, dude, just do it once. All it takes, just once. One little click really helps us out. YouTube loves the thumbs up. The super chat is live. I know all of you are creating a community in there. Be nice, people. Or don't. I don't care. But the super chat is live if you want to throw us some dollars and donate during the show. And you can also donate If you're listening in the replay, just look for a $sign and you can get a super sticker. You can do a super comment, chat, super thanks, all kinds of super stuff to help support the show. And we really appreciate it. And the number one best thing you could do if you love the show and you want to keep seeing it every day is to donate and be a monthly subscriber to our Patreon. So just go to the NikkiMedoroShow.com. There's a Patreon button right there. You can sign up for any amount that you want to. We have some ideas coming up in the new year of what to do for our Patreon subscribers. So that's all coming up. You don't want to miss a thing. So again, the NikkiMedoroShow.com. Donate to our Patreon. And then, of course, subscribe to the show. Make sure you're subscribed, and then make sure your friends are subscribed and your family is subscribed. And Craig's listening from Oahu. Oh, I love it. Hi, Craig. Aloha. I'm jealous. Take me with you. So yeah, if you can subscribe and share the show with your friends, that really, really helps us out. And we're trying to grow our numbers and grow the show. And so that's the easiest way of doing it. Okay, so we do have in about 10 minutes, Jim Cryns with Barrett News Media is out with a new book. Now, you may not know the name, but you'll know the names of the people he interviewed for this book. I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about Mark Thompson. I'm talking about Chip Franklin, talking about Jim Avila, talking about Jack Swanson, talking about so many different people. Bill O'Reilly, Sean Spicer. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm just like looking at this list. Greta Van Susteren. He has had, I can only imagine, some very interesting conversations. So that's coming up in about 10 minutes. Michael Avenatti, yes, gets 14 years in prison for stealing millions from his clients. Now, you'll remember, I think one of his most famous or infamous clients, of course, was Stormy Daniels, who was suing former President Trump. And he stole from her. Michael Avenatti was ordered to pay more than $7 million to 4 of his victims. And I read here, one of them was a paraplegic man. Now, he did plead guilty 6 months ago to 4 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of endeavoring to obstruct the administration of the Internal Revenue Code. All right. Now, according to that latter charge, he had to fork over $3.2 million to the federal government. That matches the sum prosecutors accuse him of stealing in federal payroll taxes. Michael Avenatti, he really tried to portray himself as, this little attorney that's fighting these big corporate greed people like Donald Trump. And no, he was stealing from his clients. One of his clients, Jeffrey Ernest Johnson, who was paralyzed after attempting suicide in jail, hired Michael Avenatti to help him sue LA County over his injuries. Now, the settlement was $14 million from the county, but he didn't see a penny of it. Avenatti told him that it was stuck in bureaucratic red tape, but apparently he deposited it into his own personal funds. And that's just kind of what he continues to do. Obviously, he was convicted of stealing nearly $300,000 from Stormy Daniels for her book, Full Disclosure. A jury found him guilty of wire fraud, aggravated identity theft. He was sentenced to an additional 48 months in prison. The guy's going to be going away for quite a while. So, he had a lot of people fooled, but I'm glad that he's getting punished, because if you could do that to people, especially, paralyzed people and just stealing their money, you're going to get caught, dude. You're just going to get caught. Well, they're trying to catch this criminal. A Michigan woman was scammed out of her life savings, which is about $15,000, when she tried to purchase a car. Now, look, I know we like to buy things online. My husband and I purchased his truck that he drives now online. What was it called? It wasn't called Zoom. It was called like Vroom. I know it was something like that. What? It's called Vroom. Vroom. VROOM.
Like
we
vroom,
bought.
vroom. Okay.
Yeah, like Vroom Vroom. Okay. So we bought his car off Vroom. I'll never forget it. We were driving to go like in the San Francisco area to see this truck. And he wanted a specific truck. I know my husband. He wanted a black truck. He wanted the truck that he actually sold when we got married to help pay for the wedding. And he wanted to replace that truck. So the one we found, it wasn't the right model, whatever. It wasn't the right color, but he's like, fine. And so as we're driving, and full disclosure, I did not want to drive and get this truck. It was wasting our whole day. The kids were younger. They're in the back seat. This is not how I wanted to spend like a Saturday. And so I'm on the phone, like Googling like the truck that he wants. I'm like, the internet can find it for me. And I found this site, Room, that I had never heard of before. Okay. So, but I did research as I'm driving and I'm showing it to him. Like, look at this truck. We could buy this truck. It's in our price range. And, you know, we went through all the hoopla, the paperwork, all the sorts of things. He's still driving the truck today. They delivered it, you know, had the whole kind of look-see over, everything like that.
How long ago was this?
How long ago did we buy that truck? I want to say 5 years ago.
Okay.
4 years ago, something like that. Yeah, it had to be about that long. So yeah, I mean, it worked out perfectly. Now, would I buy a car off Facebook Marketplace? Now, I've bought stuff off Facebook Marketplace. I got a blender off Facebook Marketplace.
Out of some lady's trunk.
Yeah, do you remember that story? Well, it was an extra. I don't think it fell off a truck, but anyways. But yeah, I mean, I buy stuff like that, but a car? Now, Craigslist is a thing. People have done that before. Well, apparently this poor woman was from Michigan. She says she lost all of her life savings. She drove from Dearborn, Michigan to Cincinnati after seeing a listing on Facebook Marketplace for a 2020 Ford Explorer for $15,000 in cash. So,
no. So then she probably had all that cash with her.
Of course. Now, I just did a quick Google search on how much a 2020 Ford Explorer should go for. $30,000 seems to be the average that I'm seeing online. So it's half that price, right? It's half that price. So it's one of those, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Yep.
So she had talked to the seller, drove 4 hours to meet her, and sent as kind of a deposit, which is common, $500. She sent it digitally. She went to the meeting with $14,500 in cash.
No.
And then, of course, what did she do? Not do this, Edna. Where would you go? If I'm going to meet somebody and make this big of a purchase, where do you go?
Right outside the police department.
Right outside the police station, right? Like, I will meet you inside the station with the cash. No, she just met the seller in a parking lot. She says, so we go to the parking lot. I get into the truck. We're counting the money. No. The other woman, it was a woman that did it. Amanda Wren Griffin got her boyfriend, and they put a gun to this poor Michigan woman's head, took the cash, and left.
Oh,
so
man.
obviously they're looking for this woman. But again, if you're looking for something like a car, and a 2020 Ford Explorer, for instance, is averaging $30K online, and someone's selling it for $15,000, it's
Either
too
there's
good to be
something
true.
wrong with it or you're going to get ripped off.
Exactly.
And also, I never would have gone alone. I would have
Oh,
made sure
God,
to
no.
take someone with me and do it in a very public place.
I would have gone
Yeah.
in a police station. Like, there is
Right.
no way
Yeah.
in hell I would ever do especially a big transaction. Like, if I'm getting a blender, whatever. But a car, and I've got almost $15,000 in cash in my pocket. Yeah, it's not happening. I wouldn't do that. Oh, Kim says, I sold mine right across from the sheriff's department. I wanted them to know I wasn't effing around. Exactly. Because you're smart, Kim. And that's how we do it. Okay. So speaking of smart people, talking to smart people, let's welcome to the Nikki Medoro show, Jim Cryns. Jim is with Barrett News Media. Jim, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Cryns, right? Oh, I can't hear you, Jim. Do you
You're
have
muted.
is he muted?
I think
Hey,
Jim is
Jim.
mute. Unmute.
You're muted. Can I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
You might have to allow your microphone. Either allow
might
your
have to
microphone or unmute. I hear
allow-
sound back there.
I hear something. Do you have earbuds or anything? Let's see. Oh, I kind of hear you, but it's very distant. Okay, we'll go to some comments on the other thing regarding the story we were talking about, Jim, and you tell me when you could talk. But if the deposit was sent digitally, Wes is saying that's trackable. See, Wes is talking about the woman who had $14,000 in cash in her pocket. That's a good idea. They could trace money orders, can't they?
I don't. Depends on, you could have. It could be. See, I can imagine a scenario where that's not traceable.
Yeah, Nick says I did a private sale once. The new owner committed a felony hit and run, then stashed the car in a storage unit without paying for it. Never
No.
again. No, that's a terrible one.
Can you
Jim,
hear me now, Nikki?
I can hear you. I can hear you now. Yay.
I had
Okay,
to bring
perfect.
my daughter in. Isn't that?
Hi. Thank you,
how
daughter.
old I am. But I
Isn't
wanted
that
to-
always the case? It's always the case that the youngins. help us out.
Congratulations on the show. Are you coming up on 2 months?
Yeah, almost. The 17th will be 2 months.
That's so
So
exciting. Congratulations. And yes, you got the name right. I spelled it phonetically.
perfect.
But I figure my name is so strange that, now people are going to be looking for the book and not have my right name on there. So
Well, it's CRYNS.
yeah, I
right?
spelled it phonetically just so
There you go. There
but
you go.
thank you so much.
Well, good. I'm glad that we have you on. Now, your book is called Talk to Me. Tell me first off, Jim. Now, for people that may not know who you are, you work with Barrett News Media, but this book is what about the interviews you do with people who spend their lives interviewing other people.
Yeah, it kind of came about about 9 months ago. I started writing for Jason Barrett, and they're predominantly known for their sports. And he's making a concerted effort to get more into news, and specifically talkers, programmers, a lot of PDs, a lot of executives, CEOs, but getting away from anything that's not sports, but still has something to do with broadcasting, talkers, and media. And I will say, your example from your previous station, I've noticed you don't say the call letters, so I won't say them. But I've used that as an example in so many of my interviews since I spoke to you. And, just the sheer, I talked to someone this morning, he said, and I'm talking about terrestrial radio now, that he said he's worried about the Ford F-150s that are not going to have AM radio in their cars anymore. And I didn't know that till today. But how are you going? Is this the way to go now for you? Is this the way you're excited to go? That, it's a real quagmire right now. I don't know that anybody really knows what's happening right now. Nobody has a crystal ball. How about you?
My crystal ball I left in storage. It's always never around when I need it. But I'll say this. I do like the freedom of this YouTube channel. It's different. I was literally talking to one of my old colleagues this morning about, just this new environment. He also has a YouTube channel. And he told me, is like, you could take what you've learned doing terrestrial radio, but moving it onto YouTube, just blow it up and expand it. And the fact that people can watch me, a person who, was always a radio girl, is different. I'm enjoying it. But it's, the technology is there. People are watching YouTube. People are getting their news from YouTube. When my father-in-law is on YouTube all the time, that tells me something. That tells me that it's not just young people, but it's the older generation that are also not ignoring terrestrial radio. And I'm not saying that, but are definitely incorporating different medias in getting information and entertainment.
Well, people are getting their content from so many sources now. And I don't think anybody really is, like you told me in our interview, you have to remain relevant. And I understand that you have to be in the face. But I mean, I'm not just blowing smoke, but you're great at this. You have a great presence. And I would have always thought you were on television. And you know what I mean? You just seem to have a grasp of this medium, and you seem to have a grasp of communicating with your, eye contact and communicating in a different level. So I don't think a lot of people can do that. Congratulations on that. But just getting back to what you talked about the people that I've been interviewing. And I must say, even people in the biz now, I've been doing this for 9 months, and I'm speaking to people every day in small markets, big markets. I know the book says top 50, but I was talking to someone the other day. He was Rich Zioli out in the East Coast. And he said, Jim, some of my favorite stories in here are about the people you don't know, aren't that famous. And the journey is really what I'm all about here. I was talking to a woman, the names aren't going to mean anything to you. I think her name was Andrea Kay. anyway, the point being that it's their journey. Her parents were military people, and how she stumbled into this medium. And those are the stories that intrigue me, Nikki. The stories that, you know, you get your broadcast majors who went to USC or LSU or something, and they always knew they were going to go into it. But I like talking to the people that backed into radio, the ones that had a poli-sci major, were intrigued with politics, and they kind of buffered into media and what makes a good talk show host, and what makes, you know, how a PD selects the right team. Those are the things that fascinate me. And, you know, I have a curiosity about everything, but I also, my attention span's a little slow, or quick rather. And so I want to move on to the next flower. And that's why this has been so much fun, because, you know, I get to experience you and Mark, his situation where you are, but then talk to a PD in Tampa with the new technology now. He moved to Atlanta, but he didn't have to physically. So he took a job in Atlanta, but he doesn't physically have to do that anymore because of what we're doing right now. And I think that's the interesting thing about morphing in this whole industry. It's adapt or die. And particularly with what you guys are doing right now.
Did you, you know, especially talking maybe with program directors, did you get the sense that there was some regret from some of the people you interviewed that they did not transition or kind of see the writing on the wall soon enough? Because I can only imagine, I mean, you talked to Jack Swanson, who came from Station X, and, you know, a lot of people where you can be, why didn't you do X? Because Y was coming. You know, it's Monday morning quarterbacking, of course, but.
That's getting back to the crystal ball thing. Jack Swanson I talked to, and he said it's about time people pay attention to you guys. About time somebody, he was great, and he was very complimentary. But I think that I talked to somebody, it all becomes a blur, but this morning, who said we could have responded quicker, and we should have seen a little more a little while ago. But at the same time, it's like trying to hold sand in your hands. I mean, it's going to strip through. And I don't know that anybody, I mean, we talked, there's 2.4 plus million podcasts in the world right now. Yes, podcasting is the way to go, but how do they know you're there? I was talking to a woman this morning. A restaurant opened down the road from me 3 miles. It's been open 3 years, but they didn't tell me it was there. So it's incumbent upon hosts, marketing, and how do I know, Nikki, where you are? I mean, let's say I knew you left that station.
Right.
But I don't know where the hell you are.
Yeah.
And how do you let people know where you are? I mean, it's got to be word of mouth right now, but that's the $1 million question.
Well, and in all honesty, it's not actually as much word of mouth. It is. Obviously, I want people to watch my show, to share it with their friends, and we're always telling people to do that. But it's the technology that we're talking about, something that doesn't necessarily happen with traditional terrestrial radio. I mean, there is AI, there is SEO, there are all of these things that happen as I am talking that help bring my show to people that I've never talked to, that don't know my email address, that don't even know my name. But because of technology, because of YouTube technology and AI, now I come up, and now all of a sudden somebody's like, oh, she's talking about Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock today. I want to know about Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. Why don't I click that link? And that's how it happens. And that's something, you know, that was so frustrating with Station X. And I will say, in my opinion, terrestrial radio is if you don't do the traditional advertising, the billboard, you know, literal advertising, how are people ever going to come across you in that way? You know, you could do online, but again, that's using the same type of technology.
How have you changed in the last 2 months with your presentation and your feel? I'm curious to know, are you the exact same person at Station X, or have you had to learn to morph and adapt?
I think people thought I was going to have more of a potty mouth on YouTube than I do. Simply because in real life I do. I try not to, though, just because there's no need to, unless I really am trying to prove a point. But no, I am the same person on this show as I was on Station X during that show.
Yep.
Because I can't fake it. I can't fake being me. And I don't want to. I feel like people come and watch the show and listen to me and choose to spend part of their day with me because they want to. And so I want to be authentic with them, and so that people are authentic with me. I don't know, Jim, how this turned into you interviewing me on my interview with you, but that's
Well, that's what I do. But do you think there's a connection between faces that goes a little more in depth or visceral when you can connect with a face?
Yes, that's why I keep trying to talk Kim McAllister into turning her damn camera on.
It's
But
why
you a few times. What the hell's going on?
It's why our conversations on the radio in studio were always better than when we had to work remotely from home, because the view you're seeing of Nikki right now is the one I had through the plexiglass as I sat
Yeah.
on the other side of her. And it's that connection that you make with someone as you see their facial expressions and their reactions, and
Right.
that really enhances the conversation. So I think it's only gotten better when you can see what I saw in studio with Nikki sitting
I
there.
think so too. Like when somebody has something to say, they get like this, and you know
Yeah.
they're
Right.
going to go to them, or they go like
Yes.
this. And that to me, I was in radio, and that's the intimacy. But I'm always into different mediums, and this is creating a different thing now because this is me connecting with a TV anchor like I couldn't before.
Yeah.
This is me getting that interpersonal thing that was missing. And the people that I've talked to, they have the radio guys that said, look, I got to deal with one person in the car. That's who I'm after, one-on-one.
Right.
This is a different feel. Like looking at you right now, I don't, intimate might not be the right word, but I feel connected. And I really think that this kind of thing going forward, maybe, pulling out the crystal ball for a second, this may be the way to go because, and we'll find out in 10,000 years when they do the study on how cell phones killed us and how,
We'll be dead by then, Jim. We won't care. It's whatever.
But I will say, Jim, I
You
think
know what
you're
I'm
right,
saying.
except
I'm
I
thrilled
wouldn't
with this.
I wouldn't call her like I wouldn't even compare her to a TV anchor, because what you get on TV is someone in a suit, prim and proper, sitting like posing for a picture behind a desk, reading copy. But what you get from Nikki and from the conversations that we have on the show is like you're sitting in her living room or out on the porch drinking lemonade, having a real chat about things that matter specifically to you. It's a completely different feeling.
Yeah, I agree. And then what I love is the viewers' comments where they can become part of a show. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a newscaster say, why the hell aren't they asking this question?
Yeah.
Why the hell aren't they asking Mike Pence, if you hate him so much, if he loves you so much, why hasn't he asked you to be your running mate again? Things that you wish that anchor or that reporter, like want to email them and say, why aren't you asking this? Because that would draw me more in interactively, to say, look, this is Jim from Milwaukee wants to know, Mr. Pence, why you're such a chicken,
Yeah, exactly.
Can't say the word.
But I think that if you're trying to guess where this medium is going to go, especially for people, and TV is one thing. I think the transition from TV into something like YouTube, not necessarily easier, but they have more kind of camera presence. But I think when you're talking about radio people, the thing I loved about radio and that I missed so much about doing my show at Station X is what you were just talking about. I say something, someone calls in. You don't know how many times we did the show and someone would call in with a comment and it just took our show a place that I never thought it was going to go. I miss that. The comments give me a sense of that. And I love the community that's being formed there. But I do think that for radio people, besides just the traditional straight news type of broadcasts, if you're talking talk, it's going to have to be in different platforms, not just radio. I'm not saying get rid of it, but in addition to.
I share what you do in interviews that I don't like scripting. Like most of the people I talk to, the funny thing, Nikki, is there's nothing about you on the web other than Nikki worked here and here. When that Station X blew up, there was a little more. But I have to delve into something where they went to school and start my whole interview from grassroots kind of thing. And my best questions come from your answer, as you know. Yeah. And I had a woman 15 minutes ago that I was talking to. She's getting monomaniacal on the border and all this crap, just going on and on about Biden and all this. And I'm like, I said, you're going to have a stroke. What can't we talk about having a guest on that's a cooking person, or can't we talk to somebody? She said she wants me on her show to talk about Daniel Day-Lewis. Thank God. But it took me a half hour to get her to that point because she put 50 cents in her and she couldn't stop talking about this crazy crap. And I'm like, is this you? Is this you want to keep doing? Give me a break. I said, it's like hitting yourself in the head with a 2x4 constantly. Like, when is this going to stop? And I just don't, that kind of entertainment radio doesn't do it for me. I want to if you can have your moment to delve into something, but God, give me something else.
Yeah. And that's what I like about this show is that, I talk, and I did it at Station X as well. I mean, I do some politics, but this is not a political show. I follow the politics. I give my opinion. I take some opinion and then I move on. I like to keep it eclectic. I like to talk about things that matter to me and to my family and where I'm from, but also people, no matter where you're listening from, can relate to. I like to get silly. I like to get immature. I don't mind getting heated sometimes, but it's not an area in which I want to stay too long because that's not fun anymore.
No, but I mean, if it's in the heat of the moment, go with it. If somebody wants to mix it up, it's like, is this a private fight or can anybody get in? And that's how I feel about this stuff. It's like, I'll go where you want me to go and I'll have fun, but if you're bringing it there, I won't back down. But it just gets down to the monotony of it all. And I think we're all up to the gills with this monotony about South Carolina and all this crap. It's like, I want to watch juggling on Ed Sullivan's show more than I want to hear what the hell you want to talk about anymore. And aren't you tired? I'm tired. I'm exhausted. The past 6 years, I feel like I've lost, and not just COVID. I just mean the last 6 years have been hell. But was I on here for a reason?
Well, and now, Jim, is your book a living document, as in you're just going to keep adding to it? Or, I mean,
it's funny you say that because with this technology, I interviewed Soledad O'Brien yesterday.
Oh, cool.
What a delight. And the problem is sometimes I feel like I'm impeding on their time, but she was just going. But as an interviewer, when you got your cup full, you know what I mean? Like, I had a guy this morning, a PD, and I'm like, oh, this is like pulling teeth. This is going to suck. And in the first 2 seconds if it's going to suck or not.
Yeah.
And, he's so straight-laced. And in my writing style, I like to have fun and go off. But some guys are like, oh, S.H.A.R.T, this is just going to be a real slow burn.
Yeah. And you never know. You never know ahead of time. So you have to kind of get into it.
No, you don't. And then when the ones you have fun with, makes it easier to write because you start off with something, that is just so engaged. I like to start a piece that is engaging, but if it's dry, I can't go anywhere. If you don't give me anything, I can't make you sound exciting if you're a dullard.
Well, I am sure your book is filled with many fabulous interviewers. Again, it's called Talk to Me. You can find it on Amazon. And I'm sure you'll be adding all of the newest people that you're interviewing. What also is next for you, Jim? I know you're on Barrett News Media.
Soledad O'Brien in tonight. That's my point, is that I can bring it up to speed. I can talk to Kim and put her in the book right now. And that's the neat thing about, you talk about morphing technology, and I can get rid of some jerks that didn't put me on the air. I can pull them out.
There you go. You're like, thanks, no thanks. All right, so Jim Cryns with Barrett News Media. I will link your book and where you can buy it on our social media feeds. And keep in touch, Jim. The door's always open, and I'll try to.
Thanks, Kim. To you too.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. So again, Talk to Me with Jim Cryns. You can find him on Barrett News Media. It's online. And yeah, he was really nice. He interviewed me. He's interviewed Mark. He's interviewed Chip. He's interviewed a ton of people. And honestly, it's funny that I was kind of giving him grief. I was like, are you interviewing me or am I interviewing you?
He can't help it.
He can't help himself.
Go there, yeah.
And I think that's kind of when you're in this business for so long, that's what you find yourself doing. Okay. So when we come back, we are going to get into, don't worry, the fart story is a coming. I want to talk a little bit though, first, before we get to the farts, about germs. And how many of you are still doing the, hand sanitizer, wiping everything down? I mean, masking is one thing when you have a cold or you're out and about, but are you still wiping things down as much as possible? And how many of you, anybody in the chat, did you have a kid during the peak of COVID? Because they're going to be looking at these kids to see what exactly is happening on the inside as we were staying so clean. So that's all coming up right after news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Georgia voters heading to the polls today for the state Senate runoff election between Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock and Republican challenger Herschel Walker. A lot of people watching this election today. While Democrats narrowly secured control of the Senate in the new Congress, the stakes are high as the party seeks to snag that 51-seat majority. Republicans will control the House starting in the new year. The Supreme Court will be hearing a case out of North Carolina tomorrow that could have long-lasting consequences for elections and democracy. At issue, whether a state court has the power to overrule the congressional district map drawn up by a state legislature. In this case, the court is being asked to weigh in on the gerrymandered map that the state's Republican legislature drew that was later overturned by the North Carolina Supreme Court. Family members of a fallen officer who died the day after responding to last year's Capitol riot are snubbing two Republican congressional leaders. Officer Brian Sicknick's mother declined to shake hands with California's Kevin McCarthy and Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell at a ceremony honoring her son. She told CNN she was tired and hurt by the GOP leaders being two-faced and praising Capitol Police while also aligning themselves with former President Trump. North Korea continues to take aim at the ocean. The isolated communist state fired more than 80 artillery shells into the sea over an 8.5-hour period today. That coming in response to ongoing South Korean military drills right across the border. Police are downplaying the possibility that someone was stalking one of the University of Idaho students stabbed to death in a home right near campus last month. Police in the city of Moscow, Iowa, said on Monday that they looked into an incident involving murder victim Kaylee Gonsalves. Police say in a statement that one of the two males inside a local business who appeared to follow the 21-year-old woman into a store didn't make any contact with her, walked in the other direction when she left to get into her car. So that's ongoing in that investigation. $354 million up for grabs tonight. That's the current estimated Mega Millions jackpot.
How are we not into this? Did we not do a poll? I mean, what the hell?
I think our joy and excitement popped after someone else won the however many billions it was.
Yeah,
1 or
but see,
2
that's what they're
billion.
betting on. Someone's gonna win it, Kim.
Someone's gonna. It's ready to pop. It's been more than 3 weeks since players in California and Florida split a jackpot of more than $500 million in the multi-state lottery. Again, tonight's draw. 354 mil. So maybe we should.
Is this the Mega Millions or this is the Mega
It
Millions?
is the Mega Millions jackpot. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What is it? 1 in 395 million chance of winning, but somebody's gonna win. So
There has to be 1 or 2 in our case. How about that?
Don't
Let's just do
play.
it.
You can't have that chance, so we might as well. The news is sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve, who we adore, has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. I don't know if I'd call him if I won the lottery. I think I'd be knocking on his door. Steve,
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah.
I'm in. If
There
you
you
need
go.
help with your taxes, give Steve a call. It's 888-TAX-DEAL. You can reach him online at moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on the fabulous Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I do want to say thank you to people that are in and donating in our super chat in the comments. Somebody in the comments was saying, Kim, that they couldn't find the super chat button. I am correct that it's $1. You have to be logged in. That's the key.
So yeah, you can watch the show without a username and an account. But if you want all the bells and whistles, then you have to sign in through your Google account.
And it has to be a Gmail account because Amazon and Google are like,
well, YouTube, Google owns YouTube.
Yeah. So you need a Gmail account. You can set up a Gmail account only for this. You don't have to use Google in any other way, but that's how you see it. And once you log in, you'll see a dollar amount, and then you can throw dollars to us for any amount. So let's give our shout out, shall we? And Andreas, always so generous. Andreas, good morning, friends. Have a wonderful day. See you tomorrow. Not only, Andreas, do we give you a big shout out and a big mwah for the $50 because he put in another $20 on top of that. Andreas, I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Kevin Hobbs also donating $22 to the Nikki Medoro Show in our super chat. We have a $4.99 super sticker from Velma. Thank you, Velma. I like your name too. You don't really meet many Velmas out there. Doreen. I actually know a Doreen. And I don't think it's the same one. $10 super sticker. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then James Buchanan starting us off with a $4.99 super sticker. Thank you. Mwah. I love giving kisses all of the time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And another way to support the show consistently, which is what we need, of course, is to become a monthly Patreon subscriber. And I think of it always like this. Would you like to have a cup of coffee? Would you buy me a cup of coffee if we were face to face? Would you buy Kim a cup of coffee if you were face to face? So think about that. If you'd buy us a cup of coffee once a month, twice a week, you decide. Daily, just decide that amount, and whatever amount is always appreciated. And as the show continues, I will be giving sneak peeks at things first to our Patreon subscribers. And so that's something, and we'll have other things coming as well. But we need to be able to keep the show going. And that's just the honest truth. I'm always transparent, as I love to say. And so we can't keep the show going if we don't make monthly money. So if you want to keep it going, just donate to our Patreon and go to thenikkimedoroshow.com, thenikkimedoroshow.com. Our Patreon link is there. And of course, the links to the YouTube show to share with your family and friends. Please make sure you subscribe. And yes, here's Nugget. Hi. He is always my canine co-anchor over here at the show. Okay, so let's get into some science, all right? Don't worry. The farting science is coming. But first, let's talk about germs.
We have to wait for the farts?
You have to, well, always. I
All
mean, the
right.
best things come to those who wait. Okay. So there is this germ-killing spray, okay, that is making news. And apparently, you spray this stuff down, and I can only imagine a film. This is what I imagine. You spray it down, you wipe it, and then apparently it leaves some sort of film that lasts for months. So
I
this
don't
was
know if I like that. That makes me nervous.
okay. So a team of immunologists, okay, and engineering material scientists at University of Michigan have developed this spray. Okay, and so what it uses now, this might make you feel better. It uses tea tree and cinnamon oil. Okay. So that makes it safe, obviously, for people to touch. It has antimicrobial ingredients, and that can destroy germs. It also uses polyurethane, which ensures the coating stays tough and durable in high use conditions. So in testing, get this, in testing, the coating not only destroyed SARS-CoV-2, which is the virus that causes COVID-19, but also killed E. coli, Staphylococcus aureus, MRSA, MRSA, and other troublesome pathogens that
Tea
can
tree
cause
oil and cinnamon?
cinnamon. Yeah, that's what they're saying. That this spray, it also has. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, pretty much it is. The experimental coating developed is clear, and it uses the antimicrobial ingredients come from tea tree and cinnamon oils. That's what it says right
Okay.
here. They've published their findings in the journal Matter. After the antimicrobial was subjected to repeated cleaning and other heavy use for months, it still knocked out 99.9 of microbes when used on keyboards, cell phone screens, and even kitchen cutting boards that had been covered in raw chicken.
Wow.
Thank you. One
That's
application. They say one application can last at least 6 months before a fresh coat is needed to ensure it remains effective.
So I wonder then, could you take the cutting board, wash it like you normally do in hot water with soap,
Right?
right?
Uh-huh.
And then dry it off and put it back on the counter, and that tea tree oil cinnamon mixture is still going strong.
Yeah, I think that's the point. The point is that you can rub it, you could wipe it, you could clean it, you can wash it. And this film, I guess, stays on. I don't know how it stays on, but the polyurethane obviously is something. So let's see, what else can maybe something like Rain-X. Anybody use Rain?
Yeah. I was thinking that Rain-X kind of freaks me out too. You spray it on your windshield and you don't have to use your wipers. The rain just kind of puts a
beads
film
off.
over your shield
Yeah.
and the rain just kind of, rolls away.
So that's what I'm thinking.
But I always wonder, like, what the hell's in that?
Well, polyurethane and cinnamon and tea tree oils.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so we'll see. Now, do we want this though? Now we have to ask ourselves. Now, on one hand, if we have to clean less, if we're protected against E. coli and MRSA and COVID, that's a good thing. But the science is still out regarding just how clean people should be. So scientists are watching what they deem COVID kids, those that were born just before or during the height of the crisis when the coronavirus itself was everywhere, and we were cleaning and wiping and sanitizing everything all the time. Now, I'm going to preface this and say this over and over again. They don't know. They don't know, but they do believe that the microbiome, like kind of in the guts of kids, is going to be different than kids that were born outside of COVID. Okay. So let's see. There's been a
Like,
number of
not as
reports on this.
robust, maybe?
They don't know.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's a lot of questions here. I was reading this article in Atlantic, and there's a ton of factors you have to weigh. So on one hand, okay, so you weren't exposed to COVID or some other germs, but did that mean that you stayed inside all the time? Did you still play with your dog that runs out in the backyard and brings in dirt? So how clean were you really? And maybe this germ you weren't exposed to all the time, but another germ you were. Can that kind of be okay or different? So they say they do point to things like children maybe that are born by C-section, or children when they're very young who have to get a lot of antibiotics. Their microbiome can be different if you grow up in nature poor environments. So they're trying to figure this out. The thinking is we might see more asthma, maybe even more obesity, or it could be the complete opposite. We might actually see a dip in it. It's just something I bring up because this is going to be the ripple effect of COVID. Yes, we've lived through it. Those of us that have. COVID is still hanging around. Hundreds of people are dying of it, I think, every single day in the United States. I don't know if hundreds, but I'm pretty sure it's hundreds of people are dying every day from this virus, or the effects of it. A compromised immune system, and then you die. I mean, people were bringing up Kirstie Alley, even though she died of colon cancer. Some are wondering, did she hesitate going into the hospital? I mean, all of these things are consequences, of course, of being alive during a pandemic. Now, when it comes to the pandemic's potential fallout, researchers agree COVID babies undoubtedly had an unusual infancy. On average, their microbiomes are bound to look quite different, but different isn't necessarily bad. So if you happen, and I don't know if there's anyone in our chat room that had a kid during COVID, I know people that had kids during COVID, and it has to be a question you need to ponder on whether or not, is this kid going to get sick more or less as they get older? We'll just have to see. We'll have to see where that comes out. But speaking of things of, too much of a good thing, and Kim, I'm sure you've encountered this with your kids. The doctors don't want to put your kids on antibiotics that much anymore, right? Because kids are becoming the antibiotic resistant. Now, my daughter is right now on 2 antibiotics. It concerned me, but to combat, and if you don't know, my daughter has just been diagnosed with Crohn's disease. But the antibiotics are doing an amazing job for her right now because she's trying to get, her gut under control. Do I want her on antibiotics forever? No, of course not, because it puts you at risk. If you get something like MRSA, which is resistant, it's a staph that's very resistant. You can't get better. Your wound won't heal. I'm going to show you something right now. And this is why you don't want to get a staph infection. Does anybody?
It's going to be gross.
It's going to be gross. Prep yourself for this. Are you guys ready?
Look away.
Nah, look. Be like me. Look.
Oh.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. So this is an MMA fighter. His name is Dustin Poirier. And apparently he got an infection on that foot, and it just keeps swelling and swelling. According to ESPN, Poyo said it's staph, but he's not responding to antibiotics over the last 24 hours. Undergoing further blood work now, hopefully getting some answers. He said S is getting serious. He's been in the hospital for 2 days. Now I'm not quite sure exactly what the original injury was. But look at that. That's bad. And that's why you don't want to take antibiotics for too long. And now I don't know what happened. He could have gotten MRSA from anywhere. You can get, like, if you're in the hospital, um, health workers really
Yeah.
try to protect themselves, because once you get it, you're really put at risk if you get a cut or something, and you can't necessarily take antibiotics anymore to get healed. And that's dangerous.
Eric was talking about regarding the spray, the
Yes.
antibacterial spray.
Mhm.
He was saying that there's polyurethane in it. What about microplastics? Eating a bunch of plastic particles along with your chicken.
Ooh. Okay,
Yeah.
so again, I'm not one of the researchers, so it is a spray. Now, if it's polyurethane, which makes it like Teflon, so it sticks to the surface, yeah, could there be microplastics running off, like, over the 6 months that it's supposed to last? Karen, I see polyurethane. I feel like polyurethane is in a lot of things that we use. Not saying we shouldn't care about it.
Right.
And I understand the concern about plastics. Wasn't it your daughter, Kim, that was saying, there's plastic in us all. Like, we're just going to
Oh,
turn
yeah.
into,
Oh,
yeah,
she's resigned to it. I was
yeah,
telling her, Belinda Weymouth was talking to Mark Thompson and saying, that there is if you buy a water bottle in a store, they
right.
have taken, or a drink in a plastic bottle, what have you,
Mhm.
that they have done tests that show that there's little microplastics floating around in the water that you're drinking, an untold number of this. And so I
Mhm.
was telling my daughter this as she was buying something plastic to drink out of. And I said, we were sharing a tea. That's what it was, in a plastic bottle. And I was
Ah,
telling her this, and she said, Mom, if you don't think that it's in all of us, if you don't think that it's everywhere in our body by now, there's
you're fooling
it's
yourself,
pointless.
mom.
Resistance is futile. Like, it's in us. We're
It
done.
is.
That's it.
It is. It's like, when we were talking about this before, it's like corn. Remember that documentary I mentioned?
Yeah.
How, high fructose corn syrup, and corn it's so much a part of our diet that we're part corn almost. And again, I'm not saying we shouldn't fight against it. It's just a tough fight because it's so common and it's so everywhere. Every time we talk about plastics, is anyone like me? There used to be this commercial for plastic on the TV all the time. And it was like a hotel room, and there were sheets of plastic and plastic tubes and plastic everywhere. And I was like, oh, plastic, everything. And now we're like, ugh, can you lay off the plastic a little bit? We don't
Right.
need any more
No.
plastic in our life, but try and remove it. Try to not touch something today that doesn't have plastic or polyurethane or Teflon or something in it. I think we think of our cooking, utensils and our pots and our pans and things like that, but I'm not saying give up. I'm
I'm
not
just
saying
looking
that.
around at my desk, and I couldn't not touch plastic. My computer has a plastic rim around the edge.
My phone has a plastic case on it.
Yep.
I touch that all of the time. I don't know if they make an environmentally friendly phone case that's not gonna, that's gonna protect the phone if you drop it. I don't know. But yeah, we need to get it together. Okay, let's get into the farts. Shall we? Let's get into the farts. Now, I'm not kidding here. You guys think I'm being immature,
Oh.
but I'm not. Okay, so this article, and I googled it. It's on more than one page, so I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. The headline reads, farts say more about your health than you think, and now scientists are listening. So there's this mechanical engineering student at Georgia Tech by the name of David and Colley, I think you pronounce it. He researches fluid dynamics, and he is working, according to this article, to demystify the acoustics of urination, flatulence, and diarrhea. Diarrhea, by the way, is a word that, if it didn't mean what it meant, is a pretty name. That's just my side note anytime I say the word diarrhea. Anyway, so his team is training AI to recognize and analyze the sound of each bathroom phenomenon. Okay. And they say that it could help public health. Okay. So David, along with Mia Gatlin, who's an aerospace engineer at Georgia Tech Research Institute, created a mechanical device. Now I'm going to show it to you, and I'm not kidding, because when I saw this picture, I was like, you're messing with me right now.
Are you supposed to
This is
fart
not a
into
real thing.
it?
Well, this is what it looks like. I see the soda bottles, and I'm like, nah, come on, is this fake? But this apparently is a machine. Now, the name of the machine, are you ready? is the Synthetic Human Acoustic Reproduction Testing Machine. S.H.A.R.T. It's S.H.A.R.T. Okay. Now, S.H.A.R.T. is preparing an algorithm to one day pick up on deadly diseases like cholera and stop an outbreak in its tracks. So, what they say is because things like cholera can kill 500,000 children a year, this is important. Okay. So, with these inexpensive sensors, they will be able to collect this data. So, and Colley says our initial focus for the first year was really on farts and pee, okay, urination and flatulence. His colleagues were trying to relate the sound of farts to the internal geometry of the rectum, okay? And they say that abnormal changes in that sound could mean cancer. But they discussed it with gastroenterologists and they thought they were going to try for a non-invasive route to figure this out. And so
if your
go ahead.
farts change, go to the doctor? Is that if you have
Kind of, but how do you
you're used to one kind of fart, but then you have another kind of fart that could have trouble?
There you go. But how do you measure this? So what they wanted to do was create, and I'm sure San Francisco will jump right into this, next generation toilets could do more than just collect all of your excrement. It could help alert communities to changes in farts and urination sounds. So they have this other device that could possibly be part of these next generation toilets. Where did it go? Oh, come on. I had the picture right up here.
I don't know how that thing works. Like I see an awful lot of tubes. Does it connect to the human body or is it just the reproducing of the sounds?
Oh, here you go. This is one. This is it. Hold on. I'm going to show it to you. So this is the diarrhea detector and it has a microphone. So they're keeping it really, really simple. Okay. And they're trying to detect it. So sound is easier to analyze remotely than video or self-reporting. So they take the sounds of urination, flatulence, solid defecation, and diarrhea, and they all make a very distinct sound. And so they use this inexpensive device and an AI algorithm to organize all that toilet information. And then they take the data and they put it in their S.H.A.R.T. machine and they analyze all of the sound.
Okay.
And apparently, wait, I'm not done. Hold on.
God.
The algorithm identified the correct excretion event up to 98% of the time.
Well, I mean, it's not hard to know that a sound is diarrhea.
No, but it's a different sound of diarrhea. Like I'm sure different diarrheas make different sounds. I mean, I could say I have diarrhea, but why do I have diarrhea? Is it cholera? Is it something else? So it's all of these things that they're going to analyze. They're also looking at physics. They're talking about how the sound of male urination could also detect different health issues for that person. And so what's next? They're looking to expand their testing. They want a deployable device that they can obviously maybe put into a San Francisco $1 million toilet and try to gather all of this information that way. But
I really hope that that it's an AI listening to the diarrhea detector picture you just showed, because
let me show it
I
again. There
mean,
it
what
is.
a horrible job. If that's your job, be on the other end of listening to all that. Like imagine after an 8-hour day of listening to people using the bathroom.
Right.
I mean, that's a dirty job.
Yes,
sure.
but I think that when we're talking, yes, it's funny, right? I mean, because we're talking about listening to farts and doing all those sorts of things, but we know, and believe me, as the mother of someone who's very into my child's gut, as you know, like all of these things matter and can be precursors to understanding something about your health. And so, yeah, I will post a link to this article. I did not make any of it up. All right. The S.H.A.R.T. machine and the diarrhea detector are real. Georgia Tech is looking into it. And maybe through sound, we can help save people's lives. I mean, 500,000 children a year die of cholera. If they can detect an outbreak before it turns into an outbreak,
Sure.
that's huge. That's absolutely huge. Okay. I'm sure that, I love this Mike Rose on the case. Yeah, it's a dirty job, but somebody has to do it. And there's researchers that are really, really going to be doing the dirty work, as they say. I don't know if Mike Rowe is in on it, but alas, let's switch gears. We're going to talk after Kim's news. We'll talk about technology, but we're going to talk about that really cool new AI app called Lensa. I'm going to show you some pictures of what this app can do. And you tell me whether what you have to give up is worth it to get those really cool pictures. Amazon is offering you very little money to put something on your phone. And I'm wondering if it's any different than what I already give them or other apps on my phone. So you tell me. And Burger King, I have some food news. Burger King is doing 12 days of Christmas. Would that get you to eat fast food? Because they're really banking on it. But before we do any of that, we have to bring in the most important man himself, our friend, our tax attorney, Steve Moskowitz. And Steve, I know that the end of the year is fast approaching, so I am positive your phone is ringing off the hook with people trying to get prepared for tax season, wanting to find out if they're qualified for things like ERC and all sorts of tax problems.
Yes, but we have room for even more, Nikki.
Oh, perfect.
And,
Perfect.
Here it is, December. So a lot of things should be done by December 31st, but not everything has to be.
Okay.
And then, of course, ERC is such a big deal because this is the government is giving away. It's not a loan. It's a grant. They're giving away up to $26,000 for every employee that you have that qualifies. And how do you qualify? There's two different ways. There's the easy way, a certain drop in gross revenue. But so many CPAs are stopping there. And if you don't have the gross revenue, that's it, no ERC for you. But wait a minute, there's an alternative way. So we start out with the easy way too. Of course, if you can do it the easy way, we'll do it the easy way. But if you can, it's a facts and circumstances test. And we'll spend the time we need with you. And sometimes you have to give clients homework and sometimes talk with them 2 and 3 times. But we don't care about how much work we have to do. We only care about, do you legally qualify for the ERC? And if you do, even if your gross revenue hasn't gone down by the amount your CPA said, you may still qualify. And if you do, you'll get the same money as if your gross revenue had gone down. So the bottom line is you don't want to leave that money on the table. So if you had a business that employed people in 2020 and 2021, you want to talk to us, even if your CPA said you didn't qualify, because maybe you do.
Yeah. And I think that that's the most important thing is knowing that information, because there's companies out there, Steve, that don't want to put in the hard work. There's companies out there that are fly by nights. And if you pick up the phone next year and call them, they may not be there, but you've been doing this for decades. You have the answers. You explain it to people in a way that they can understand. And even if they don't qualify, you explain it to them on why they don't, so they don't feel like they're missing out on something. So give Steve Moskowitz a call. Simple number, 888-TAX-DEAL, or MoskowitzLLP.com. That's MoskowitzzLLP.com. Steve, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much. Yeah. So give Steve a call. 888-TAX-DEAL, MoskowitzLLP.com. All right. Click that thumbs up before we do some news. Please just once click it. The super chat is live. We will, of course, give our big thanks towards the end of the show for people that can throw us a couple of bucks that way. And always, please consider being a monthly Patreon subscriber by going to the and clicking our Patreon button. We really appreciate all of you each and every day. Okay, we will talk about AI. We'll talk about apps. We'll talk about Amazon. We'll talk about those really cool picture filters on your phone. But is it worth what you're giving up for it? You tell me next, right here on the Nikki Medoro Show, live on YouTube.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And of course, this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888-TAX-DEAL. A jury says the Trump Organization is guilty on all counts in its New York tax fraud trial. Prosecutors accused the former president's company of avoiding taxes by paying personal expenses for top executives. Donald Trump himself not charged. The Trump Organization, though, is, and the company could now face more than $1 million in fines.
Okay, hold on. That sounded huge. So the Trump Organization has been found guilty on all those charges.
On all tax fraud charges.
We don't know what that means for Donald Trump himself, because I remember they were trying to make the claim that, of course, Trump knew all of this was going on, but he seems to be a bit shielded. Is that what I'm supposed to understand?
It's not personal charges, it's only charges against the company. So I guess one could say, well, if you're a good business person, if you're a good company leader, then you know everything that's going on in your company, right? And
Mhm.
if indeed he's a good leader and knew everything going on in the company, then one could argue that he was defrauding the American people because he wasn't paying his fair share of taxes.
Nugget doesn't like it. Nugget, see, he's not
I'm
happy
down
about it at all.
down
Send
with
him to
Nugget.
jail, Nugget says.
But
Send him
that
to
is
jail.
But that has the former president has not faced charges for this, but the Trump organization, again, guilty on all counts
All right,
in the
all
New
right.
York tax fraud trial. So,
Okay.
yeah, the city of Uvalde, Texas, suing their own district attorney for access to information about May's school shooting. Mayor Don McLaughlin says the city's investigation is making progress, but the DA is refusing to cooperate. There were hopes it would be done by the end of the year, but now apparently there's no timeline. Pfizer rejecting a claim from rival Moderna that it copied their COVID-19 vaccine. What? More cheaters in the mix? The New York-based pharmaceutical company asked a federal court in Boston to dismiss Moderna's lawsuit for alleged patent violations related to their coronavirus shot. Moderna accuses Pfizer of copying 2 pieces of technology that make the vaccines possible. We'll see how this plays out. It
Well,
means big money, right?
I thought that they were, and again, I mean, because it seems like a little bit of a blur with the whole vaccine development. I thought that the whole thing was that they were sharing. Yes, it was a little different. And I know that we're talking about money here. I'm a full Moderna person. I've never gotten a Pfizer vaccine. I don't believe.
I got a little of
Um,
each.
yeah, so it seems like both are offered. I don't feel like anyone has a lock on the market unless, I mean, they both have their own bivalent vaccines out there. That's going to be an interesting one to watch because I understand, the whole money and market aspect when we're talking about saving people's lives. Just get the vaccines out there, I would
Get the
say.
vaccines out there. Let's get our society reopened and get everything done. But now, after the fact, right now they're looking at each other going, you stole from me. No, you stole from me.
Oh, geez. Whatever. All right.
I'd like to analyze that fart sound, please. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is urging Republicans not to work with Democrats to pass a big spending package before the new Congress begins. McCarthy is questioning why Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell would want to strike a deal before Republicans take control of the House in January. He said Republicans should wait until they're in charge, as they'll be stronger in every negotiation. His comments come shortly after McConnell said congressional leaders were in widespread agreement on what is known as an omnibus deal that is needed before the end of the year. So, sub-freezing temperatures expected across the North Bay tomorrow morning. The National Weather Service has issued a freeze warning from 1 to 9 a.m. Wednesday. Many North Bay interior mountain and valley locations could see temperatures drop into the upper 20s and low 30s. So the advisement is to protect outdoor pipes. Don't leave your animals outside, of course. Protect sensitive plants. It's one of those nights. Golden State Warriors superstar Steph Curry being named Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year. It is the second time Curry has earned the honor, joining all-time great athletes like Tom Brady, LeBron James, and Tiger Woods. It's a big year for Curry. He won his 4th NBA championship in 8 years, earned the first Finals MVP award of his career, and earned his long-awaited degree in sociology from Davidson College in North Carolina. And I know you're watching this one, Nikki. Episode 6 of HBO's The White Lotus surpassed the series' previous viewership record. The episode drew an audience of 2.8 million viewers across HBO Max and linear telecasts, to 23% rise from the record set the week before with episodes 5, 2.3 million viewers. So more and more people are watching.
Okay, so I thought that last Sundays was the season finale, but next Sundays, I believe, is the season finale. I think I'm right about that. I think people keep thinking it's about to end, and maybe I need to Google that while you finish your news. But I thought that last Sunday, and I'm watching it, I was like, oh, this isn't the end of it. It's really fun. It's really good. There's been a huge twist in this last episode on Sunday, so it does not surprise me that people were watching at record numbers at all.
Record numbers indeed. Yeah. And you say there's an episode 7 to come?
Yeah, that was not this. That was not the season finale. I think it's 7 episodes because I think I Googled it and I was like, I thought this was the season finale, and nope, one more episode than last season. I think last season had 6.
And the news sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and for businesses. So whatever you got going on, Steve can help you. If you need help with your taxes, you can reach him at 888-TAX-DEAL or on the web, moskowitzllp.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
All right. Thank you, Kim. All right. So let's talk Amazon. You would think for a company that makes as much money as Amazon does, they dig a bit deeper. All right. So they have this new thing out. Let's put the music down just a little bit. Okay. So they have this new thing out, and it's called Amazon's Shopper Panel app. Okay. It's invitation only. Don't accept this invitation. So Amazon is offering people money if they route their traffic through an Amazon server so the company can keep track of which Amazon ads the person has seen. Okay, so this Amazon Shoppers Panel app has been around for months. I want you to tell me, Kim McAllister, I hope you didn't Google it. How much do you think that Amazon would pay you to route your phone's traffic through their server so they can keep track of their ads on your phone? How much?
Was it a monthly payment or
yes,
like a
monthly payment? A monthly payment.
I think they're going to give me $1.99 in free Amazon Prime books. Is that right?
A little bit more, but it's dollar bills. $2 whole dollars.
I want my $2
a month. Yeah. So, but it's up to $10. So you can only, I don't know, I guess an invitation program gives you up to $10 a month in Amazon credit for uploading receipts.
It's like the more you watch, the more they pay you?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
So now apparently people are signing up for this, that there's a wait list. So if you join the wait list for the Shopper Panel program and get accepted, you have to turn on ad verification. You'd then be asked to turn on an always on VPN for your phone.
Forget it.
The company then says it isn't actually installing a VPN on your device. Instead, it's making it so all of your traffic goes to an Amazon server, which lets the company know when you see Amazon's own advertising or ads from third-party businesses that advertise through Amazon ads.
You know how I hate this.
Yes, I know you hate this as much. But again, $2? I could have, you know what? Some people just don't give a crap. Right? They're like, but I love going to place and they offer me things I want and I have no problem. I used to work with somebody at Station X that didn't mind too much about that. But having something on my phone and making all my phone stuff go through Amazon, no. Who knows what else they're looking at? Even if you don't care about the ads, you know they're taking more stuff than that.
So I guess there's 2 schools of thought. Like if you're already on Facebook and Twitter and whatever else, your privacy's shot. They know.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, you could even say you're looking or interested in something, not even type it in, and all of a sudden
they're
ads
listening.
show up. Yeah. So, okay, so we're already at this point where your privacy's shot to hell. Might as well get something for it. On the other hand, the other school of thought is, I will go kicking and screaming before I let you route all of my traffic through. That's like an added level of pillaging my information that I'm just not okay with.
Well, and who says that that's all that they're taking? Oh, we're just looking at the ads. My ass. You know they're looking at others. You're telling me I'm going to let you peek in my window and you're only going to look at one spot? No, thank you. Now, this isn't the first time a company has tried to do this. Let's see. Facebook had one that gave users $20 gift cards each month to run a VPN on their phone. In 2012, Google said it would pay users $5 every 3 months, so even less, for running a Chrome extension that tracked their usage. And then another part of that same program offered you $20 a month if you used a special router. But I think the thing that is just really shocking people is how little Amazon is actually offering up people. And Murphy, I'm using Fetch. Now somebody, can I complain about Fetch even though I've totally promoted it and I still use it? I preface all of this by saying I'm still using it, but they screwed me. They freaking screwed me.
How so? What happened?
So Murphy, you know what I'm talking about. So if you use Fetch, which is a Fetch app, and if you want the link and give me free points, I'll give it to you, but I won't do that right now. So you just snap pictures of your receipts. So I'm not downloading a server or anything. You have to physically take a picture of your receipts. They do it, and they do collect that data, and then they give you points. But what Fetch also does is works with Amazon, Walmart, Rite Aid, different stores and brands. And if you buy those products at certain points, if you do it during a certain time, you can get a buttload of points. So for instance, they had one with Coors Light, which my husband drinks a lot of. And I think I got like 2,000 points one time because I bought it in this special window. It usually gives me, I don't know, 200 to 300 points. And the bare minimum that they give you is 25 points. So every time you upload a receipt, you get 25 points. Okay.
And how many the points equal money or gift cards or what?
So it's about 10,000 points for $10 on Amazon. Let's say if you want an Amazon gift card,
Okay.
you could use them for a bunch of different things, but that's about it. 10,000 points gets you like $10.
I tried to screw up the whole Fetch rewards thing, keeping track of your algorithm by purposely giving you my receipts every morning at Station X. I would hand you a stack so that Fetch wouldn't know. Like they might know what you bought, but then they would have all these extra receipts and they would think you were buying things that you weren't buying. See, it's my attempt to preserve your privacy. You're welcome.
Thank you. Well, I go on there and they have something where I think it was like toiletries or bath soap or whatever. And I had purchased them and I upload my receipt and it just said something to the effect that I'd never seen before of, it's taking time to download it. And I think I was supposed to get a good amount of points. Now I've gotten a good amount of points before, so I don't know if it's completely not on the up and up, but then I tried to upload it again and it said, no, that's already been uploaded. And then I wanted to see the original receipt, which you can do. And it's like, we can't find the original receipt. So you don't have my original receipt and I'm not getting my damn points and I still have not gotten my points. So I'm not really happy with Fetch right now, but I'm still using it because I'm almost at 20,000. So I'm going to get like $20 on Amazon. And somebody had reached out to me on social media and said that Fetch didn't get a good, I think, review on the BBB or something like that. I have gone all the way through the whole process and multiple times gotten Amazon, not a gift card. They just give $10 to your account if you have an Amazon account. So it has worked for me. So I'm not promoting something and never tried it out all the way through. It has. But if you guys run into problems, tell me and I'll stop promoting it. Nick, slippery slope, but how long before we don't have a choice about this? I think we're there. If you want to know the truth, I feel like Kim mentioned, they're listening, they hear us, right? It's just, now, should we give up trying to protect our privacy? Of course not. There are simple things that we can do. We can stop being on social media. We could probably get a dumb phone, right? Not a smartphone. We could do all these things, no location services. All of these things we can do, but they've gotten us addicted to the convenience of using them. And so until we break that habit, in all honesty, all the crying about, our data, stop giving it away. I'm guilty of this. I freely, for $10, every 10,000 points, giving up my receipts and telling Fetch what I buy. I just don't seem to care about that. I'm just being truthful. I'm just being truthful. And yes, SF Tesla, Kim had in her news that Trump organization guilty on all criminal tax fraud counts. We will continue to follow this. We'll probably talk about it more tomorrow as well. I think they should throw his ass in jail. What is the name of the company? There you go. Trump. There you go. Eric, use Microsoft Rewards too. You can scan the same receipts from Fetch. Ooh.
Oh, you're double dipping.
I'm double dipping. I like to double dip. Dip. All right. Okay. How about pictures?
Murphy says it's working for too, just so you know.
Good. I do like Fetch. It makes it really easy. And I've gotten into such a habit, right? My husband has turned into Kim. He comes home, he just gives me receipts.
Here's the receipts.
And then I give him props when I'm like, that was a good one. And they feel some sort of worth from that, I guess. Okay. So have you heard of the Lensa app? Okay.
Lensa?
Lensa, Lensa. Okay.
Lensa. Okay.
It's an AI-powered photo editing app. I'm going to show you some pictures. And it looks really freaking cool. Are you ready? Okay, so these are pictures of people that they kind of tweak in the app.
So it takes a picture to look like a painting?
Something like that. You could add all these weird, the one on the top left right here, it still kind of looks like the person. You could put a background on it. You could just do really cool things with it. So I've been seeing a lot of these kind of tweaked, filtered pictures on my social media, and they look really cool. But then, of course, there's the warning that comes with it. Scott Budman, he's with NBC Bay Area. I'm sure many of you have seen him. He
I
put
like
out
that
this.
guy.
I like him too. He's a really. I always follow him on Twitter, and he's a good one. He puts out this warning, and this is what he writes. He's all, "It's cool to generate AI pictures of yourself, but please allow me to quote directly from the Lensa Terms of Service. Quote, you grant us a perpetual, irrevocable, non-exclusive, royalty-free, worldwide, fully paid, transferable, sub-licensable license to use, reproduce, modify, distribute, create derivative works of your user content without any additional compensation to you."
Ooh.
So we got you. You put it on our app. We can use it in any way we want to forever. Yeah. Oh, Amy says Lensa's been stealing artists' work and not giving them credit. Do not use Lensa. Okay. I don't have it. I saw Scott Budman's warning and I'm like, you know what happens though? And this is the thing. This is the real reason I don't download any of these. I can never make it work the way other people can make it work. I'll get a phone and I'll be trying to do all the tricks and it never looks as cool as other people can make it. And I don't need to be bothered. I'm not going to put it anywhere. So, but yeah, that's just the warning. I know putting up really cool pictures of yourself is fun, but yeah, probably not worth what you're giving away for the life.
I guess if you don't really think of yourself as an artist and you're just having fun with pictures and you don't really care who owns them, then okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but like what Amy said, if you're an artist,
then don't use that because
No.
because
I mean,
then
these pictures
they
are
own
really
it.
cool.
Yeah, they are really cool.
I mean, I would love it. I mean, if somebody wants to take an already used picture of me and do it and send me cool pictures of myself, I'll allow you to do that, but I'm not downloading the app on my phone.
Then Lensa forever here to
We'll have
eternity
my
owns
smiling
that picture of
face.
you.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
can
exactly.
use it however they want to use it in whatever capacity.
And I won't get
No.
paid a dime. I won't
No,
get
thank
paid.
you.
It's just like Amazon. They don't want to pay you anything and they have tons of money. What the hell's up with that? All right. Speaking of saving money, so there's a lot of things that happen during the holidays, like 12 days of X, Y, and Z. I guess there's 12 days of caviar. It's a set that you could spend $650 on for fish eggs. I don't care for the caviar, so I don't want that. But Burger King is coming out with its own countdown to Christmas, and it starts today. Now, I don't understand why they're starting today. You would think that they would start it so it leads up at least to Christmas Eve, but they're starting it today for 12 days. And you're getting a bunch of cheaper food. It's between December 6th and December 17th. Some of the perks. So today, if you went, you could get a free Whopper Junior with $1 purchase. You can get $3 Whoppers, including the Impossible Whopper tomorrow. I don't see anything on here that would make me go to Burger King, though. I mean, do you think stuff like this entices people to really go to Burger King? I can't even remember the last time I ate Burger King.
I suppose if Burger King was your jam and it was a deal.
Is Burger King your jam? I mean, do people, is that the top? You guys know I'm a Taco Bell chick and I love McDonald's French fries. So those are the two things if I was talking fast food. Let's see. So I like McDonald's French fries, Taco Bell's menu. Jack in the Box, I like their, if I'm drunk and it's 1:00 in the morning, they're tacos. And they're jalapeno poppers. I would say that those are the two things that I would get from Jack in the Box. Burger King, the thing that I used to eat at Burger King all the time that I like is their onion rings. They have the tiny onion rings that I like instead of the big gigantic ones. I don't really care for those. Carl's Jr., I don't remember the last time I ate there either. Their Western bacon cheeseburger I liked, and their fried zucchini I liked. So that would be good. Oh, look at Nick. He had the Mexican pizza. Anybody else miss the enchilada already? It's gone. Damn it. I don't think this would make me go to Burger King again. I haven't been to Burger King in years.
I'm not a fan of the fast food meat. You know that. And
That's
so
right.
that's I wouldn't
Well, you
do
can
it.
try
But
the Impossible. You can
the
try the
guy
Impossible.
the guys at Wendy's know me very well because every day as I go after my Nikki show, I go get my kids from school and I
Uh-huh.
stop for an unsweetened iced tea
Iced
on the
tea.
way.
That's right.
So
That's
they know
right.
every day they're like unsweetened. They so I think there's a camera in the little
Yes,
speaker
there
box,
is. Yes,
and
there is.
they bark my order at me before I even can say it. They know. Yeah.
Are you kidding? Well, it's like probably the same time every day you go too.
Julia's like, Mom, there's a problem if they know you. When they start to know
Um,
you and like they know you what you want before you say it. Yeah.
yeah. Mo, I don't care for Jack in the Box's egg rolls. I'm always disappointed every time I get them, and I love Asian food. I really, really do. Where was the other one? I love this one from Eric. They'll be installing the flatulence monitors in the restrooms. That's a callback. If you missed our discussion about the S.H.A.R.T machine, which is a real thing, absolutely. I didn't know this, Indy. Carl's Jr.'s owners, homophobic pro-lifers. I didn't know. I thought that was Chick-fil-A. I didn't know that Carl's Jr. was like
So
that.
allegedly, and I have to do some research, but many
Okay.
years ago, it was said that Carl's Jr. was on a list of companies, along with Domino's Pizza and others, who
Okay.
gave a lot of money to anti-abortion groups.
Oh,
So
I
they
didn't
also,
realize that.
though, Carl's Jr. had a big program where they would hire intellectually disabled folks to work in their places, which I think is a lovely thing to do.
Right?
I think they come from a place of religion.
I have no problem with religion. I just don't want you to impose it on other people, and I don't want you to use your religion to hate against other groups. If you do that, then I don't eat at Chick-fil-A. I don't do, and I don't think it matters to Chick-fil-A. Every time I drive by Chick-fil-A, there's a line around the building. I apparently people love their chicken. I just don't eat it.
Well, every time I drive by In-N-Out, which is also religious based, right? They even have little Christian sayings on the cups or something.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, every time, and no matter what city I'm in, the line for In-N-Out at the drive-through is like stacked up through the parking lot. There's never a time where there's not
Wow.
anyone there. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, look at this piece of food. I'm just going to keep this going because we're talking about food. So there's pizza, and then there's a pizza box. But what if there was a pizza box that was pizza? Here you go. Does that look disgusting to you or what?
What is it? It's pizza.
It's a pizza box. It's a pizza box made out of pizza. I would say made out of a crust.
Like a flatbread?
Something like that.
Huh.
I don't quite understand why anybody would waste the time doing that, but I thought that was pretty funny. It's a little fun way of ending our show and our food segment. We didn't get to a lot today. I want to talk about this because I saw it and I wanted to squeeze it in, but I want to give it more time. And you guys can think about this. Would you rather spend millions of dollars on a special election to fill vacant seats, or have people in charge appoint those seats? So in the city of San Jose, my hometown, San Jose City Council members voted last night to fill 2 vacancies instead of allowing people to vote. Apparently, like more than 500 people showed up. Now, they're saying it could cost between $7 to $10 million for the special election to appoint these people when it's legal to have them appointed through an appointment process at the end of January. Our new mayor, Matt Mahan, voted against the appointments. He wanted to allow people to vote. So we'll talk about this tomorrow, because at a time when, you're paying attention to budgets and all of those sorts of things, is this the proper use of money? And the reason I also want to bring this up is people were calling out the recall election, let's say, of Gavin Newsom and other types of elections that are legally allowed if you go through the process. And they're saying, wait a minute, you're wasting our money doing these things when there's a cheaper way of doing it. So I want to get into that tomorrow. I apologize. We just did not have time today. We'll also do a little bit of TV news. a very popular sitcom that I've watched way too many times. One of its stars said if the show, which wasn't made too long ago, but if the show was made today, it probably would have been canceled. And so we can kind of just commiserate about what kind of shows do you think that you love, but probably would not survive in the year 2022, 2023. But before we end the show, please do us a favor and click that thumbs up one time for us. YouTube just absolutely loves it. And so I love it. I love what YouTube loves. Please like, subscribe, and share the show. Go to my website, thenikkimedoroshow.com, and you can become a monthly subscriber to our Patreon in any amount that you want to. It could be $5, it could be $20, it could be whatever you can afford, and we appreciate it, and it helps us out. And so make sure you tune in every single day, live starting at noon Pacific time right here on YouTube. But of course, you can bring us anywhere you want to. Hello to my friends on Facebook. You can also listen to us. I had Justin from Boulder Creek Pizza, big shout out to him, reach out to me being like, can I take you in podcast form? Yes. Our podcasts are up. I think we're behind a little bit. We need a couple of episodes. The last 2 episodes put up. Somebody was letting me know, so I'll double check on that. Okay. But we're up there. You could take us. You can listen to us. You could watch us. Please send us emails if you have any ideas for shows or you want to talk about something. And I've been forgetting to mention, and I have a couple seconds. If there is a small business that you would love for me to highlight, I'm going to be just shouting out local small businesses. Small Business Saturday should be a month-long thing leading up to Christmas. So give them a shout out, and we'll do that as well. No cost. Just want to support our local businesses, especially here and local to all of you. So thank you to Kim. Thank you to all of you. And we will talk again tomorrow.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.